must survive.
I'd like to thank everybody and welcome you to Professional Insight. My guest today is Kat Hartley. She's a project manager for Healthy Brain at the Cleveland Clinic. Kat, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to work at the Cleveland Clinic?
Well, thank you for having me, Chuck. This is a great honor to be on your show. And actually came to the Cleveland Clinic after a long journey with Alzheimer's disease in my family. I've had 6 people in my family affected. I've lost 4 of my family members. So I've known Alzheimer's disease since I was actually 6 years old. And then in my education, I went to the University of North Carolina, became a pharmacist, and found myself, my first job was at the FDA, where I was involved with the approval of neuropharm products for Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's. I managed to go to Las Vegas, took a long mommy break because at the time there was no drug development in Las Vegas, and became a volunteer for the Alzheimer's Association with advocacy, and then became a volunteer at the Cleveland Clinic, the Ruvo Center, when my boys were old enough to make their own sandwiches. Then that rolled into my current position. I've been here for 3 years.
Wow, that's a lot of experience with Alzheimer's.
Yes.
When we talked earlier, you talked about the 6 pillars of brain health. Can you kind of briefly go over the 6 pillars?
Yeah, so at the Cleveland Clinic, we were fortunate to receive some grant money from Caesars Foundation, and we wanted to create an online platform to educate the public about the importance of their lifestyle and reducing their risk for dementia, and as well as create awareness about our research. So we created the 6 pillars of brain health at healthybrains.org. It's an online platform and also an iPhone app where we educate the public about our 6 pillars of brain health. And this is based on the best science that actually exercise is the #1 thing you can do for your brain health. Getting aerobic activity, yoga, strength training, this all can help maintain your brain. And we choose it as one of the top things you can do because it affects so many parts of your body. It helps stimulate your happy hormone, helps you get a good night's sleep, helps you reduce weight, helps your heart. So exercise is kind of at the center of these 6 pillars. Also important is you are what you eat. Mediterranean diet is what we recommend. Fresh fish, vegetables, berries, nuts, maybe a little red wine if you partake in that. Dark chocolate, spices are part of those recommendations. And avoiding processed foods, fast food, lots of red meat are kind of off our brain healthy diet, which is hard to do. And also another pillar of brain health is staying social. Very important to continuing. We need each other. Even science shows that we need each other. And we're happier when we're around people and volunteering, having a sense of purpose. Also is exercising your brain for life. Continuing to stay engaged is important that we continue to learn, we continue to do puzzles, we continue to increase our focus on games, learning. Languages are wonderful, music instruments are part of that, continuing to stimulate that brain to do as much as it can. Another pillar of brain health is sleep. There's more and more research how vital sleep is to the processes of the brain, reconnecting neurons at night, reorganizing, getting rid of some of the debris. So if people are having trouble sleeping, we definitely want to look into that. And then the 6th pillar of brain health is all your other medical risk Your body doesn't act by your brain isn't up there in your skull by itself. It's all related to your heart health. So maintaining blood pressure, good glucose control, cholesterol, these are all vital to brain health. Smoking, 3 times as likely to have Alzheimer's disease with smoking, and avoiding head trauma, falls, these types of things.
Well, I did good until you talked about getting the brain health with, I did smoke for a little bit, and
Okay.
I did get hit in the head a few times, but
Okay.
the thing that I want to talk about first is staying active.
Yes.
I know when I was diagnosed, there were basically only the Alzheimer's Association with their support groups where you could actually gather around people that had, the same issues, and, where you could actually talk back and forth. How important is it for people to stay social and, be around people that they love, out and about? Because I found out that so many people, they do the wrong things, but for the right reason. They try to protect the individual from embarrassment or this, and that's kind of the worst thing you could do for them. What does it do to the brain when, that people do stay active, even with family members, and even online and things, to be able to talk with other people having, the same issues they have?
Right. Well, probably the number one thing is reduces stress, and our brains don't function as well under stress. And it helps us, it would help someone combat the depression that could sneak in, right, with all this going on. And so having those, I don't know, circles of support is really vital, no matter how, and finding what works for you. And it continues to enhance your intellectual stimulation, right? You keep having conversations, and you're trying. So the brain is smart; it can work around a lot of times. So we want to. It's very vital to continue to do and to get out there and have that feeling of purpose and belonging.
And one of the other things I wanted to ask you about was, when they talk about exercise, it's not meaning that they have to go out and run 2 or 3 miles a day. Like with us, Bobby and I, we walk around the block. We go to stores just to walk around. When we're very active that way, and we're out for, at least a couple of 3 hours a day, out normally in the sunshine, walking around doing things. So if you kind of, tell people that they don't have to, if it's just walking down the street, as long as they try to do something that kind of gets their blood flowing.
Exactly. I mean, that it sounds strenuous at first that you need this 30 minutes of cardio 5 times a week, right? Or sort of the golden tip, but just a good brisk walk. If you could walk a couple of minutes, a couple times a week, if that's where you're starting, like you're in a hurry. If you could walk a little bit, part of your walk, you walk like you're late. Okay, and so you can kind of get that cardio benefit. But yoga, chair exercises, if you need to start there, anything more than what you're doing. It's the sedentary lifestyle that we are finding to be kind of the detrimental part. We believe so much in exercise that there's a national government funded study called Exert, where exercise is being used like the drug treatment. And they're trying to find out what is the right dose with people who are having memory issues. Is it aerobic activity you need to do? Or is it just balance and yoga is enough? So we're still learning, but the scientists really do kind of all seem to agree that exercise, really, if there's one thing you're going to hear about what you need to try to do, and that would be it.
Yeah, I noticed one other thing with exercise. If I go, a couple of days without exercising, I actually have more difficulty sleeping at night.
Yes.
But it's
Yeah.
like, my brain is a little tired, but my body's not.
Right.
So we try to do that. Another one is a lot of dementia people have issues with sleep. I know I do. I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but I go to sleep really easy. But then I wake up and I may be there a couple of hours trying to go back to sleep.
Right.
How much is, enough sleep for somebody?
Well, everyone does vary, but it can be as much the quality of the sleep as it is the quantity. All right. So you really do need to pay attention. Are you falling asleep at 8 p.m. and waking up at 3? That's a lot of hours, right? Or are you starting to doze at 9 and you're waking up at 3? That still might be just enough. So you may want to adjust, actually the time you're falling asleep to try to make it to 6. Um, Also, I think what helps is always to be in a rhythm, that circadian rhythm that our bodies are in these cycles, right? Um, all you got to do is fly a few hours in any direction, and you'll feel when your body is not in that rhythm anymore. Same thing applies to sleep. Our sleep experts tell us it's the wake up time every day should be the same. You should not try to vary that by sleeping in on the weekend or things like that. It helps our body stay in that good rhythm. Having a sleep hygiene routine before you go to bed is a key. A cold, dark room, not lots of lights, not a lot of stimulation, cell phones, the electrical boxes, TV, no. Um, and then trying to go to bed with positive thoughts is what we recommend too. Writing down things in a journal, things that might be bothering you, to get that off your mind for the night. And then really taking a moment of gratitude probably before bed can sometimes seem to help. If you continue to have problems, though, I would definitely get with a sleep specialist and try to maybe find out what is it that's waking you, and is it really a problem?
And one thing too with sleep, a lot of people will take naps in the afternoon. Um, Now, for some people, is that okay? Does that kind of count as good rest? I know I've always been one that I really can't take that in the afternoon, or I have a really hard time going to sleep. But there are a lot of people that do, actually take that nap in the afternoon.
Yes, I'm not a sleep expert, but I do understand if you've taken long naps in the afternoon, that will definitely impact your sleep later. You're getting watered down, and maybe there's something else going on. Sleep apnea, sometimes that's can be a sign of sleep apnea. Um, and that should definitely be addressed with a physician. And I definitely would bring it up at any appointment you have, that if sleep is becoming a problem.
And I want to bring up, I guess one of the, to me is kind of important, is exercising the brain.
Yeah.
I'm always online doing something. I'm playing games. Bobby and I play cards.
Mm-hmm.
I make a lot of mistakes, but I still play.
That's okay.
But that's the thing. Even if you aren't very good at it, to play games online and stuff. How important is it for people to still try to, even if it's checkers, you maybe used to play chess, but now you can play checkers, or play some kind of game, name game or anything, just to, kind of keep that gray matter in your head as healthy as you can.
Yes. We do have evidence that trying to continue to engage your brain can improve its function. So it is vital that you continue to try to do that, not to the point of frustration, but trying to focus, that time where you feel like you're really concentrating on something every day for 30 minutes at least, whether it's reading, whether it is that online game, whether it's a crossword puzzle, Sudoku. Playing games with another person is utilizing two of our pillars of brain health, right? You're being engaged, and you're being social, and you're using your brain at the same time. So that's a 2-for-1.
And two, I've noticed that the people I'm around that are advocates, and when we travel, we'll be there for a couple of days and we do great, but then we come home.
Oh, yeah.
And it actually does. It takes us, or it takes me especially, probably 2 or 3 days of
Yes.
getting back into my normal routine. And I am just extremely tired,
Yes.
and
Yes.
have not a whole lot of energy. And it takes about that long for, everything to come back. So the traveling and stuff and trying to, maintain a regular sleep habit sometimes is kind of difficult.
Yes.
But if you actually, if you travel and you try to give yourself enough time when you get back, knowing that you're going to be tired, I think that really helps too with, trying to get back, like you said, into that routine of sleep.
Right. That's exactly what I mean by our circadian rhythm really gets off with jet lag and travel and time changes, eating habits change, right? So when you come back, that whole system has been kind of thrown off. Staying hydrated is important, getting outside, again, exercise can help kind of get you back. But I guess they usually say for every hour you travel, you expect that many days to get back, right? Every time zone you go through. So those trips to Australia, probably pretty tough.
Mine, I'm kind of used to it. I flew in the Air Force, and we would lose and gain days
A day.
flying over the international date line. So, but my body's changed a lot since then. I guess lastly on diet, I've been lucky. When I met Bobby, we kind of live off of that Mediterranean diet, and it has helped a lot.
Yes.
Kind of, or I guess for last, kind of go over what the diet can do to help us even after we've been diagnosed.
Well, it's just scientifically shown that it can improve blood flow to the brain, so that's a good thing. It can help reduce inflammation in the brain, which is some of the theories around Alzheimer's disease are kind of pointed in that way. And it can kind of protect the brain, like the omega-3 fatty acids you find in wild salmon are thought to have a protective effect. And again, if you couple this with fruits and vegetables that give your brain all the nutrients it really needs and wants, and eating them rather than supplements usually is the best way for them to get where they need to go. It can, it's like you're an amazing sports car and you need to put in good fuel, right? To make everything operate the best it can.
That's great. Well, Kat, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. And I'm really looking forward to, the discussion and having some other people involved and being able to ask you questions. So thank you very much for taking the time. It really does mean a lot.
Oh, well, it means a lot to me that you asked. Thank you.
And I would like to thank everybody else for tuning in and watching Professional Insights brought to you by Dementia Action Alliance. And I've been your host, Chuck McClatchy. And I want to thank you for viewing today. And if you want some other podcasts, you can go on our website at daanow.org/podcast. And have a great time. We'll see you next time.
We're living beyond dementia, connecting our lives to help us survive. So we spend our time to the fullest we can.